Assistant Professor and Deputy Dean of the School of Law, Governance and Citizenship at Ambedkar University, Dr. Anushka Singh spoke on the theme Freedom of Expression and its Discontents at the Asian College of Journalism. Dr. Singh spoke from a philosophical and linguistic standpoint. She framed her talk on three key questions. Number one, how do we arrive at the theory of free speech if we assume that the right to free speech triggers hate? Number two, can jurisprudence benefit from philosophy and linguistics theory in framing the structure of free speech in India? Number three, can the same standards be applied to evaluate all kinds of speech crimes? According to Dr. Singh, we know that the right to free speech is considered harmful through Article 19's Clause 2, which is reasonable restriction on speech. Dr. Singh then asks, who is the law trying to protect from free speech? She said, one way to look at it is that the law is trying to protect the people who can be the target of certain expressions. That is, if the speech offense is sedition, then the law is trying to protect the government. According to Dr. Singh, this was not the case. Talking about the hate speech example, she said, the concern of the law should be to protect a particular community from the offense, but the language of law does not protect the particular community, but it protects public order. She further explains that the law here assumes that insult to religion causes public disorder, and that is why insult to religion cannot be granted as free speech to us. According to Dr. Singh, the conception of harm we get from the language of law is that the law is trying to protect public order, security of the state, or decency of the society, and not the individual. She further explains the importance of tolerance in freedom of speech, where the individuals have the right to say unpleasant things which don't incite violence. She talked about the three main points which were discussed in the US Supreme Court, in which they determined the gravity of inciting violence through free speech. 1. If the threat was an explicit or an implicit speech to stop someone's freedom of speech. 2. If the threat has a factor of immediacy. If incitement to violence has an effect after 10 years, it's likely to be blamed on the people acting on it, not the person who incited it in the first place. 3. Is the person capable of committing an act of violence? She said the US Supreme Court used a test called spark in a powder keg to put context as the most vital component of free speech. She also said that the idea behind the test is that the context makes a threat provoking. Dr. Singh said people misusing the context to manipulate free speech as a way of inciting violence should be stopped. She mentioned the Shreya Singhal case to put forward the statement that advocacy towards violence should be tolerated, but incitement to violence through free speech shouldn't be tolerated. After looking at freedom of speech from all perspectives, Dr. Singh switched to linguistics to form her proposal. She said linguistics analysis could help the judiciary understand the incitement of violence and the context of the threat by using freedom of speech. She spoke about separate ways of judging hate speech crimes as a solution. She said the right to freedom of speech can't just be about her freedom to speak. It should be about creating a civil societal structure in which everyone's speech of expression is valued equally by each other. She concluded her speech by saying having an organic culture of counter speech could solve many issues wherein people are allowed to get offended but also have the right to respond back. This, she said, leads to a healthier democracy where speech regulations become obsolete.